Welcome to the Market Bull. I'm sitting alongside Jed Hall, the chairman of Castillo Copper, and Kevin Das, the senior geologist consultant for Castillo Copper. Last week, there were some substantial results coming out about the recent Hearts Range project, and they're both here to talk about some of that and give a bit more depth to it. So welcome, both of you.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Ben.
We'll start with yourself, Kevin. You were quite instrumental, a part of the team in the Browns Range discovery for Northern Minerals, and now flashing forward, you're involved in the Hearts Range projects. Can you talk us through some of the strengths and potential challenges with that project so far?
Yeah, look, I think some of the strengths, there's some similarities there. While the deposit style or the geological style is somewhat different at Browns Range, some of the similarities were that you've got high value critical minerals, in particular dysprosium and terbium, which economically are very valuable and quite significant. In fact, most of it occurs in China, and it's quite rare to come across this suite and distribution of these high value minerals.
And Jed, turning to you, you've come from an eclectic career in financial banking and seeing all these projects come across your desk. I mean, being here in Australia now, what is so exciting and an investment case for the Castillo Copper's new Hearts Range project?
Well, sure. I mean, over the last year or so, Castillo has divested itself of non-core assets, specifically Cangi and Broken Hill. And in the background, we've been looking and examining loads of new projects, doing due diligence and seeing which would add most value for our shareholders. Now, when we looked at the Hearts Range project, we were blown away by the numbers we were looking at. So we did due diligence and we sent a team out to site to go and look at them and examine further. And those results which came out, which the assays were published last week, were in line with what we thought. And so we're going to be doing a systematic geological examination going forward over the next sort of 3 quarters, ultimately leading to drilling, because we think we've got hold of something that could add huge value to our shareholders.
Speaking of the results, there were some announcements last week updating shareholders. What do you think this plays in regards to the market, and what sort of testament does it put this project on the landscape of Australia and more so the world?
Well, I mean, because we expect a very constant news flow over sort of the next 9 months or so, we expect hopefully to be updating the market positively on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. So that should go forward to add to the value of the story and obviously the strength of the share price. With regard to what we're initially seeing, there are very, very few people who have the same heavy rare resources that we have. I mean, one's China and one is one other project or a handful of projects in Australia. So we're aware we've got hold of something very special, and our job now is to prove it out so that we can add the most value for our shareholders going forward, ultimately leading to drilling.
When looking at the Hearts Range project, Kevin, IGO has a fair amount of land in the surrounding area, but the key that everyone wants to understand is the accessibility to the projects, and a lot of people have their understandings that this is going to be remote. But can you shed a bit more light about the realities of where this project is and some of the key targets?
Yeah, look, the access and infrastructure is fantastic. It's a 2.5-hour flight from Perth to Alice Springs. Then we pick up a 4-wheel drive and a couple of hours on a sealed highway. And then we can get to the project area, which you access via well-established pastoral tracks. Probably about half an hour driving into the site. You come up to the prospect areas, and it's a 500-metre walk to a 1 kilometre walk to different prospect areas. So access infrastructure is fantastic and couldn't ask for anything better.
So the team was capturing a bit of footage on their recent expedition to the site, and one of the images that's leapt out to me was the Geiger counter. Can you talk us through a little bit about what those readings were showing then and there in the moment?
Yeah, the Geiger counter in particular, the equipment was a radii, and that's quite crucial in terms of identifying your radioactivity and your uranium mineralization. So that was a tool that we used out at site to vector into these historic mineralized sites that we knew about. And from there, it was a case of sampling. Some of the readings that we're finding at surface have been very high, and that you can see that happening when the Geiger counter starts screaming, and that allows us to stop at a specific area and examine it a bit further.
In fact, there was quite a funny story from the boys who were out in the field. They got out there and they started camping and setting up their camp, and they put their bags down. And the Geiger counter started screaming at them because it works out they put them on an area of mineralisation. So while they were setting up their area, these things were clicking madly at them that they'd got some high readings in. So yeah, that's a story from the guys in the field.
And looking forward, again, the smorgasbord of uranium, niobium, and heavy rare earths, how does the team want to prioritise or evaluate this sort of suite of resources potential?
Yeah, look, I think it's a really unique a mix of commodities there. And, while you get the uranium, you're also going to get the niobium, you're going to get the heavier earths. So we can vector in with the uranium. So it really will be a uranium exploration approach. And once we identify these uranium targets, usually you will find when you sample, you'll get niobium, you'll get the heavy rare earths alongside of it. So I think all of these things come as a part of the package, which is fantastic.